Welcome to the Psych Gym. I'm your trainer, Vanessa Perry, a former mental health therapist turned intuitive counselor. Much like a physical gym, in this space we'll aim to target specific psychological muscles and train them to be stronger. I'm so glad you are joining this gym. Let's hit the weights. Hello, welcome back to the Psych Gym. It has been a while. I will tell you, I have been very busy, and this just fell by the wayside. But as I've told you the last couple times that that's happened, I've been very chill about this process. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself because I want this to be fun for me. And if it's fun for me, then I'll probably be better at it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm practicing what I preach. I have my sister's wedding coming up, and we just did her bachelorette weekend, which we made a lot of the favors for. So I've been very busy. Hockey tournament coming up that my team in New Jersey runs, and I've taken on a couple projects related to that. So it's just been very busy. And, in addition to supporting my clients and learning things to help them, just a lot. And, obviously on a daily basis, I am aiming to be super mom. So I don't know why I felt like I had to qualify all those things for you, but there you go. Little live look in at what my life looks like outside of what you see on Instagram or Facebook. So anyway, let's get into what I actually came here to talk about today, which is self-sufficiency. My gosh, I think that this is a concept that many of us didn't really understand how important it was until recently. I think we also are shifting our belief system around what self-sufficiency is, and that's an important conversation to have. So we're going to have a little bit of it today, and I'm hopefully going to give you some tips and some ways to think about it that will help you feel like you're moving towards self-sufficiency and away from dependency. So, why is this a topic, Vanessa? Why did this come up? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. We are in April of 2025. We are confused about economics right now. Things are a little bit crazy, a lot bit crazy. And I just think that a lot of people are not really understanding what it means to prepare for the future, the things that we depend on, the things that we have grown to have be normal in our lives. We're looking at maybe those things aren't going to be around, or they're going to be more difficult to get or access, depending on what it is that we're thinking about. So it's important to have the conversation of what self-sufficiency means. We'll start with, I guess, the definition. It's, on the most basic level, meeting your needs independently. Not really needing somebody else to provide things for you. For example, food, water, energy, sometimes money, clothing, skills, being able to fix something, things like that. When you feel like you can do those things on your own, you feel self-sufficient. You feel like, hey, I can do things that help me survive, right? At that basic level, that's self-sufficiency. When we're talking about, in a bigger picture, we're talking about our reliance on external systems for various things, for food sources, our financial external systems, which could mean working for somebody else or having loans that are hanging over your head that can actually get in the way of your survival if they aren't taken care of. Our employers, our medicines that we rely on, our medical teams that we rely on. And I know that has been a thing for a lot of my clients. The shortages of medications that they now depend on is, horrifying, when they're having to go through this. Some of us even are relying on social media, right, for our personal connections or for our business. I thankfully am not relying it on my business, but, I think a lot of people are. And our skill sets. So one of the things that I remember when I was younger that my parents were really good at was teaching me basic things that would get me by in certain areas. And then as I grew, there were some things that I got better at, simply because I understood the value of knowing how to do it. And then sometimes, yes, I would pay people to do it because it's more convenient that way. But there was not reliance, right? That became a choice. So things like my dad trying to teach me how to fix my car or do basic things on my car, mom teaching me how to make things from scratch so that I could understand ingredients and putting those things together, my grandmother doing the same things, learning how to sew, learning how to make things, learning how to be creative, learning how to, take pieces of wood that are out in the yard and make something out of it, right down to that. It feels like those were maybe frivolous activities or creative activities, but man, when you're looking at an economic crisis, sometimes you're thinking, oh, these could be survival skills. These could end up being survival skills. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. So how is that relevant? Well, we know that currently we've got some supply chain problems. We're having some food chain support problems. We don't really know, I think, what's going on behind the scenes in a lot of ways. We know that some of the costs are rising for us, and we're not really sure what to do. And when that threatens our basic life stuff, right? Like when our survival feels like it's at risk, that freaks us out quite a bit, not really understanding where we might get food from if it gets too expensive is terrifying for some people. I've sat down with some people saying, I've never gardened before, but I think I need to try because I'm not sure that if things get worse, I can feed my family, which, not okay. Not something I like to have to talk about with people, but very glad to be able to talk about that with people because I believe we can all figure out these skills and make them happen, and that it's not a terrible thing that we're being pushed to do it. I just think that the less reliant on external systems, the more they break down, the better off we are. And that's just my personal thought on that. I think we're also really wanting our personal well-being to improve. And we're realizing that these external systems are controlling us. We're realizing as people come into my office that, hey, I've been following the rules, but I don't feel good. I don't feel like I'm free. I don't feel like I have choice in my life, and I don't want to feel that way. And I want to feel like I have more control over my life. So that makes self-sufficiency very relevant right now. A lot of people are experiencing these concepts every day and trying to figure out how they're going to mediate them, So let's talk really quickly. No, I guess not really quickly. I'll try to elaborate. I've been trying to make these a little bit shorter because I feel like for me, my attention span is sometimes, or almost all the time, pretty short. So even when I'm listening to a long podcast, I'm dipping in and out, right? I'm not always paying attention. So because of my own ADHD brain, I've been trying to make these a little bit more concise, or at least give enough information during the whole time and not have a lot of filler so that it feels like you have to listen because these things are important. So if I try to rush things along, know that that's what I'm doing. So let's talk about a couple practical steps toward self-sufficiency, things that you can start to think about or maybe team up with other people to accomplish, which, I think is just a good idea. I think that community is really necessary right now. And when you think about the way communities used to operate way, 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 way back, you had people who did the thing and you knew who the thing, that when you needed something done, you knew who to go to. And that was because you knew your community, and because when there was need for something in the community, somebody would step up and learn how to do it, right? Or they would, hone their skills if they already had them. So let's talk about one of my favorite ones, which is gardening. Oh my gosh, y'all. It is actually fairly easy when you put your mind to it and when you get a good education on it. And I don't want to overwhelm you with that because I think a lot of people will definitely overthink this. I used to overthink this. I'd be like, I don't have the time to learn how to take care of each plant and, you know, who needs what light and who needs what water and all of that. It was a lot at first because I tend to do that. When I get an idea, I tend to decide that I need to learn literally everything about it before I will start doing it. And I've been working on that. And I know that other people can relate. So we'll start small with gardening. You can do easy things like cucumbers and tomatoes are so easy to grow. And you don't even really need that much space. I think a lot of people think, especially for cucumbers, because they're a vining plant, that you have to have tons and tons of space. But they can grow on a trellis, which is up and down, and they can wind around each other. I mean, there's something to be said for that. And there's different kinds of cucumbers. So they're not all the big giant ones that you see in the store. Things like that. Herbs grow fairly well. A lot of people can grow them inside their house. You can use grow lights inside your house, which is they use the spectrum of light from outside to provide for the plants what they need to go through their photosynthesis and whatnot. Those do exist. You could create areas in your home that are good for herbs and for small vegetables and things like that. Fruits are a little bit rougher, right? Because a lot of them grow on trees, and we have definitely a space problem, and they take forever. They take years to produce. So maybe we don't go for fruit trees right away. But ask around. Look at very very pointed blogs and videos. They'll tell you like, hey, these are the easy ones. Start here. And like everything, when you start and you start to be good at it, you start to see the fruits of your labor developing before your eyes. We get a little ego boost. We get a little bit of a feeling of, hey, I can do this, and it will grow from there. But you have to start, right? All of these things we have to start. We can learn new skills: sewing, cooking from scratch, light carpentry. There are a lot of people that have belief systems I've sat down with that say, I cannot do that. I cannot do that. And what it comes down to usually is I'm afraid of using resources. So there's a financial piece of it. There's a lot of people who don't want to do things and do them poorly at first. You can't see me raise my hand, but I used to be one of those people. I don't like messing something up and having to start over. It's very frustrating. So of course I want to do it right the first time, but that's just, I mean, how often does that really happen? You're going to make some missteps, or you're going to have to do things a couple times in order to feel like you're getting very good at them. But the average person has the ability to do so much more than they know. You can build things. You can learn the basic geometry that it takes, or basic math even, because a lot of times it's matching up more than anything. You're not doing like trigonometry here. So I want you to consider that, thinking about that. When we think about cooking from scratch, a lot of people are worried, again, financial. I'm going to ruin something. Slow and low, y'all. Go slow. Don't add a ton of spices at once. Go a little bit at a time. You'll learn how things taste. You'll learn how things need to taste. But you have to give yourself that little bit of time to learn. And I know there are people out there, I don't have time. I guarantee you have a little bit of time. Even if it's 10 minutes to make a vinaigrette, you can do it. I promise you. And again, when you start to get good at it, you'll feel good and you'll want to do more. You'll learn your own shortcuts. I love a shortcut. People who cook on, say, Sundays, or they cook extra every time they cook and then put it in the freezer to have a freezer meal. Heck yes, right? You're doing future you some good things by learning and then stowing away for the future. We also want to think about, this one's a little bit rough, but we think about our energy independence, right? Like for a while there, I was so upset with the world and everything in it. I was like, I am going to move off grid and I'm going to live off solar and I'm going to figure it out. And I'm glad I didn't try to do that, because at that time was not the best time for me. And I don't know, maybe I'll never do it. Maybe I will. But considering that made me think a lot about the energy that I use and why I use it and the intention that I put into using it. And so that's kind of more globally, that's kind of for all of us to just really think about our habits and the ways that we use energy so that we can have alternate options if we need them. Well, a part this kind of goes with the skills, but like DIY repairs, y'all, you get the amount of things that really, again, like I think there's a lot of a confidence piece in this. I think that we are bred to believe that we have to always use an expert because we might not be smart enough to do it. But that's like so not true. I mean, the amount of toilets that I have fixed myself, like the toilet pieces, like I'm not getting into the plumbing. That 100,000% I'm calling a plumber for. But if I need like the plunger, I don't even know what the pieces are called, y'all. But I have definitely replaced them. Okay, because YouTube is my best friend. So if I have a problem with something and I either maintenance isn't coming or I don't have a maintenance team, which has happened before, I will YouTube it. I have YouTubed things on my vehicles before when I couldn't afford to pay somebody to repair it, and it feels good also. Again, like we're talking about self-sufficiency because we're trying to survive and sometimes save money, but these are really good for your self-esteem. To feel self-sufficient feels so good. To have only tiny bits of dependence or feelings of dependence, like they're dependencies that you've chosen, so different. It is so different than when you feel like you're trapped underneath it. So that helps, right? And you may, again, when we think about doing these things, think about community, think about the people that can do these things with you. And sometimes that's a little helpful, right? Because two minds trying to do the same thing might be able to think around it in a 360 better. And so the last one, I think this is the one that is probably the most important one for most people right now, is financial self-sufficiency. Oh my goodness, right? We are going through it right now. In addition to all of the things that I talked about before, about trying to figure out like food sources, local farms and things like that, they may seem more expensive up front, but when we're learning how to cook from scratch and we're learning how to handle nutrition a little bit differently, right? We might end up finding ourselves going a little bit more vegetable heavy, a little bit less meat heavy, which can help financially and sometimes is better for our bodies, depending on your own individual body. But that can be sometimes part of your financial help, right? Like is being able to do things from scratch and getting away from the dependency on processed goods. I feel like that's where most of the financial stuff comes from when it comes to food. It's all the things that we don't know how to make that we're dependent on or maybe a little addicted to. So anyway, back to financial. So I've spoken about this many times before. I get very angry when I make my truck payment every month because I used to not have a car payment because I was patient and I waited until it was paid off and then I kept it. And I was very excited and delighted. I've always felt this way, that having a loan drives me insane because I don't like paying interest just because I couldn't be patient. And so now 2 times in my life I've done this. And I'm just like, what am I doing? When I listen to podcasts of people who have built wealth from nothing, almost all of them will say things like, don't get into the traps of loans if you can help it. And if you can help it really is like a lot of them saying driving a really old vehicle that you can pay for with cash while saving the money that would get you the vehicle that you want that's newer. So when you think about that, it sucks. It's hard, right? Because we are so used to paying for something we already have. And the idea of paying for something in the future is like, what? We can't really fathom doing that. We're very used to living at our means. We're taught to live at our means. We're taught to go look for the loan that we can afford so we can get the new nice thing. And that's why we all end up in like super high debt. It is definitely created by the system in order for the system to survive, right? Like they're not doing this out of the kindness of their hearts. They're doing it because they're making money off of us. So a lot of financial advisors that will tell you that when you're under, that these are mindsets to get into, to do the best that you can to not get under these loans because of our mindsets, because of our, I need this, I need that. The instant gratification culture that we live in right now, very important to really just get into your mindset about these things. It's not an easy ship to turn around, and I 1,000% get it. I have to keep paying this damn loan off until it's paid off. I don't have the finances right now to make double payments to hurry it up, which drives me insane. I just want to be done. I get it. But shifting my mindset in all the areas that I can shift my mindset in and start making progress in those areas helps me feel like I'm doing a good thing for myself. So it's picking and choosing the things that are kind of like low-hanging fruit in order to get yourself feeling motivated and feeling really good and feeling like you're moving towards self-sufficiency. When we're moving towards something, it's a lot easier to keep doing it. When we just focus on the fact that it's so far away and there's nothing we can do and everything's so big and we make no movement, that's where we're going to stay. We won't be able to change that. And my last financial tip is the tip I give everybody: self-employment. If you can, in any way, it truly makes things a lot easier. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Some of the challenges to the self-sufficiency, I'm sure that they all came up when I was telling you this short list of possible things to help. I know that these things take effort, they take time, they can be very frustrating, and that is a challenge to your mindset. That is a challenge to the feeling of this is going to happen or I can do this. It does take time, though. Everything takes time. It took time to get you where you are right now. It was more like an infiltrative way, right? Like of the way that we were taught how to want things and how to value our money and all of that kind of stuff. That was very slow and low and not intentional on our part. A lot of these things were instilled within us, but it is going to take time to turn that ship around. It is going to take time to change your mindset and to get yourself away from the addictions that create our problems. This is what happens. The self-sufficiency journey is a journey. It is not going to be a quick fix. You're not going to be able to do this right away. So I want you to feel like you can instill some patience within you, even though right now I know a lot of people are freaking out. I need this to be a quick fix, Vanessa, because things are hard. Start small, start talking to people, start networking, start with your community, because sometimes you can lean on others while you're learning these things as well. And you'll build the resilience over time. You'll build the self-sufficiency over time. You will build a safety net that you have behind you that says, I do have somebody or somebodies that can help me. So don't get overwhelmed. I know it's hard to get overwhelmed or to not get overwhelmed right now. Things are a bit rough. But just pick one small thing that you can change today. If the only thing that you can change today is your belief system that you can change, then start there. Start thinking about it. Start thinking about the way that you were taught to do things and how you're going to change them. And if that's the only thing that you start with, that's fine. We've got to start somewhere though, right? Step one is going to be step one. But if we never take step one, we will never make it to step 12. So I hope that helps. I tried not to ramble too much. But if you have any other questions, absolutely reach out to me. I will do the best that I can to get back to you. Make sure that you're subscribing and sharing this episode if you think that somebody could use the help. And I will see you in the next episode of The Psych Gym. Thank you for letting me be your guide today. Thanks for listening. To learn more about what I do and how to work with me, head to thepsychgym.com to check it out. Keep lifting, y'all. It's worth it.